It's 8 a.m. My manuscript evaluation for my fantasy novel came in my email last night. I'm tired, if you can't tell. So I'm going to do my first read through of it. I'm very excited. This is my first time getting a manuscript evaluation, so all of this is new to me. But this evaluation starts off with a summary of my book. It's funny because my book is so long, like it's 240,000 words or something like that. I actually need to look at that. I haven't looked at it in so long, but it's funny to see like that large of a book summarized into 2 pages. Like so much happens, but what happens can be like condensed down to 2 pages, which is cool and also weird. But all of the major, or almost all of the major plot things that I had going on are addressed here. It's also interesting to have somebody else tell me what they got out of the book and that it's accurate to what I had tried to put into the book. So yeah, this is fun so far. I've only read 2 pages. I think I'm gonna, before I continue on, because that's the end of this part. There's 13 pages and I'm on page 2, so I'm gonna get ready for the day first. Get out of my pajamas and out of my bed and continue. Now I'm actually in the feedback section of the evaluation, and the first thing that this editor talked about was the interludes that I did. So basically my story has 2 stories that kind of weave around each other, and the editor liked them, which I'm very happy about. But they mentioned something that I made note of for myself, that I need one more interlude. As I was sending this off, I read through it and I was like, I'm missing kind of an important scene actually, and the editor also mentioned that they think that it's necessary to be there, even if it makes the story longer, as long as the story is well-rounded. That's all I care about. So there is an interlude missing. I actually wrote out notes for myself already on what I want to happen in that interlude. So the editor agrees, even though we didn't discuss it. So I think this is a good sign that I also know what I should be doing. Who knows? Anyways, back to reading. So the editor identified a couple things that I'll have to clarify. There's one particular thing that I 100% knew. I totally dropped the ball. I gave my main character, but the editor calls it a familiar, and I feel like that's a great way to refer to her. But he has a bird that he got when he was a kid, and it grows up with him and it will probably outlive him, and it's part of his magic. And I mentioned it in the beginning of the book because the bird can't come with him at the beginning of the book, and she is the bird, Nefeli. She is important in a later chapter where she helps the main character, the male main character and the female main character. And I totally just didn't write her back into the book anywhere in between there. So big miss on that one. Good job, Tijana. I'll fix it. Another thing that this editor pointed out was an ability that one of my character gets late in the book. I think the fact that this character gets the ability is really important, but I guess I didn't actually... I don't want to explain how the character got this ability, but I do want to make it more obvious or clear why they got the ability, and I can tie that also into the interludes a little bit. I think that'll make it come together a little bit better, but that is one thing that I'll also have to work on. Another good point that the editor made is that a lot of the growth that my female main character experiences is told outside of her POV, or shown outside of her POV. So that's definitely something that I will have to work on because obviously she changes a lot, and not only does she kind of grows into being a person, not a person, she's a person. She grows into being an adult, an independent adult, and whatever, with power. And then she also steps above that, into a stage where she goes from being happy or accepting of her lot in life, willing to do whatever she's told, to being angry that this is the life that she was given, and knowing that she has the power to not only change her life but also make people pay for what they've done to her. So a lot of that happens inside. It's not super external in this first book, but her character eventually does like devolve. So that's something I'll definitely want to work on more, because obviously we want that to be a natural progression or degression. Is that a word? Either way, I want readers to be able to follow the changes of her character. So I will definitely be working on making more of her point of view, showing change more in her point of view. It's the next day. I finished reading through the edit letter. It had some good info in it, and one thing I liked about the edit letter is my editor ended it off with a bunch of lines that they pulled from the manuscript, that they either really liked or thought would be good for promo. And it was really nice to read through those that like somebody else had picked out that they really liked, because I liked a few of them as well. Also, I feel like it's been so long since I've like actually read the story in detail, so it was fun to see which lines stood out and where they came from, because there was a couple of them where I actually had to like think on what situation they were related to and who the like some of them were dialogue, and I was like, who are they talking to? But that was a nice way to end off the edit letter. So what I ended up doing yesterday after I finished reading is I opened a copy of my book on my iPad, and then I spent yesterday going through chapter 1 and actually like marking off things. I considered doing it in either like Docs or Microsoft Word, but I wanted to actually write. I find when I write things, I don't know why, but I find my like thought process is better. I don't know if it's because it's slower, it's better, but when I have to like physically write stuff, so this is my middle ground. What is that called? Compromise. This is my compromise. It is technically still digital, but I'm writing with the Apple Pen. And it was fun just going through and crossing things out and moving things around and rewording things. It's also funny, like, I swear I went through this book with a fine-tooth comb, but like distance really does matter, like when you're going between drafts, because there's so much. Like, let me scroll. Like, there's so much that I changed and like sections that I cut out, and I'm only 14 pages in. There's a lot. And I swear I went through this with a fine-tooth comb. So distance matters. I've been away from it enough to look at it objectively and be like, I don't really need all these extra words. And my book is very long to begin with, so I need to lose whatever I can. Right now I am going through the document. I'm not like intensely editing. I think what I'm gonna do is go through a couple chapters and cut things down, and then pause and look at the chunk as a whole and compare them to my edit letter. There weren't any large suggestions in my edit letter, which makes me feel good about the story as a whole. But I will still be sending it to people to maybe read and whatnot once this draft is done, to be sure. My main problem is that it's so long. It is quite lengthy, and I want to fix that. I don't think I will be able to get it down a ton, but as this first chapter is showing, there is room and places to cut. So it's Sunday. I have been steadily working on my third draft. I have gone through chapter 1, 2, and the first interlude, and I've cut about 1,500 words, which is kind of funny. I don't know if I said this already, but like I was so sure like I had cut this thing down as low as it could go, and then take a couple months off, come back to it, and I'm like, don't need any of this, don't need any of this. Like, I've made it a lot leaner, which is a good thing because it's a really long book. I want to send this over to Shay. I'm gonna send her like a couple chapters at a time, and then maybe some other people for some feedback. But I wanted to read through it one more time, like with all of the things that I've cut gone, and I'm liking it so far. However, the first chapter introduces my male main character, Henry. His scene is an introduction to the world as a whole. He's, of the 4 points of view, he is kind of the fish out of water, at least at the very beginning. So I introduce a lot of the world through him, and he has, of the 3 chapters that I've edited so far, he has the longest chapter. Even with, like, I cut like 1,000 words from his chapter, and it's still the longest chapter. There's this pre-scene that starts off the book, and I'm debating on whether or not I cut it, because overall it gives Henry time to kind of show the reader what he's gone through to get to where he is at that point, without it just being all narration in his head. Like, he's interacting with somebody. But if I cut it, the overall story doesn't super change. I do like the character that he interacts with. It's kind of an Easter egg. I have, in the first act of the book, I have 2 like Easter egg characters. I'm unsure, and I feel like I know what Shay is gonna say, because Shay wants me to make it shorter, which is not a bad thing to want. I want it too, but I just don't want to make it shorter at the expense of the enjoyment of the book. And even if it doesn't change a lot, like this character could be someone that I bring back later in the series. I don't know. I'm debating, but it would cut, like, I think that scene ends up being 6 pages, I think. And I think the chapter as a whole is 20 pages. So, like, it's a good chunk of the first chapter. So, I'm really not sure. I might just send it to Shay the way it is, and then just think on it more. I already, like, the original iteration of this chapter had this same character, but it was like way longer, so I cut it down a lot. I don't know if I want to cut it entirely. We do have to kill our darlings, but we also have to think of the long term, setting things up. So that's where I'm at. There's no answer. That's just an update. I'm going to send this off to Shay shortly, and then I have to go to the library and return some books. And we'll see how much work I can get done today. It's 7 o'clock. Yes, I'm mentally prepared to go to bed. However, it's much too early, so I'm gonna do some writing. Finally. So I was watching Brielle's writing vlog earlier, and I like the idea that she had about letting you guys know songs that are related to the project. I have a playlist for my fantasy project that I like to listen to while I am writing. The playlist hasn't changed a ton in a little bit, which I think is something that I'll need to work on, because eventually, kind of like, if there's not enough mix of songs and I know them all, then I start like singing the words and whatnot. I don't mind stuff that has words, it just can't be like pop music that I'm gonna sing to. So I'm not quite there, but there are some songs on this playlist that grab my attention when they should be not grabbing my attention. But anyways, some songs that I really like to listen to for while I'm writing. The first one on my playlist is The Night We Met by Lord Huron. I like that one a lot. I also like My Love, Mine, All Mine by Mitski. I think that one is so good. That's one I will sing to, which is a problem, but I love it. Can't take it off the list. I also like My Mind by Yeba. I think that's how you pronounce it. I know it's Abby backwards, but Yeba. Such a good singer. Amazing. And then one other one that I really like, it is farther in the playlist, so I kind of like look forward to it coming around, is Goddess by Leve. It says Laufi, but I'm pretty sure it's Leve. Amazing singer, amazing performer, a vibe all around. So those are some songs that I like to listen to. I got my playlist pulled up, so I'm just gonna start and get some writing done. Hi there, it's Thursday. I just got home from work a few minutes ago. You can probably hear my fan in the background, I'm so sorry. Just getting some air circulating in here. It is before 4:00 p.m. and I'm home from work, like I said, and I'm going to write or edit. I didn't update yesterday because I ended up working on chapter 3 and I implemented all of the changes that I hand wrote on my GoodNotes app. However, I like kind of looked at the number and I was like, I could do better than this. And in fact, I could. So I went through the chapter again in a different color, and I think I got like 3/4 of the way through, and I had cut a bunch more, but I didn't end up finishing, so I didn't update. That's what I'm gonna do today. I'll finish that and I'll implement the changes in the clean doc or whatever, and then I will move on to chapter 4. So friends, I am going to end this vlog here. It ended up being about a week of writing, and I cut just over 2,500 words, which I am super happy about. I didn't actually make any big changes to the story overall. It's mostly just streamlining. I'm long-winded in the way I speak, and I'm long-winded in the way that I write, so I was working on that. And refamiliarizing myself with the story and prepping it to go out to friends who I trust to read and give me honest opinions. So progress was made. I edited 3 chapters and 1 interlude, and yeah, I was very happy. I didn't get as much done as I wanted, but I've been finding lately like the balance of working full-time and then coming home and trying to be active and social and also creative is a little bit tough, but I'm working on it. I feel like it will always be a work in progress, so here we are. I did some writing. I'm going into a fun weekend of writing which you will see in another video. And hopefully this draft gets done relatively quickly. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will have some videos linked down below for you to check out, and some people that I think you should check out as well. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you somewhere on the internet. Bye.